the headlines of VTV News, National Assembly holds discussions on methods to ensure buyers' rights in real estate transactions. Rice exports continues to reach new record highs. And later on in our world news, experts warn of potential intensification of hurricanes.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Hello, it's 3 p.m. local time and welcome to VTV News coming live to you from Hanoi. I'm Lina Phạm with the top news of the hour. On Tuesday morning, the National Assembly convened a plenary session to discuss several articles in the revised draft law on real estate business that still have differing opinions. More in the following.
At the plenary session, deputies shared their opinions on the two payment options. These options are related to the buying, selling, renting, and purchasing of houses and construction works.
I choose option 1, which states that the remaining value of the contract will be considered paid once the competent state agency issues a certificate to the buyers and lessees. This provision aims to protect the legal rights and interests of organizations and individuals and prevent investors from accessing the remaining value of the contract without the buyer's consent.
Option 2 states that the buyer is not required to pay 5% of the remaining value of the contract, but they must transfer the amount to the investor's bank account for management. However, I have concerns that the investor could potentially misuse this amount to intentionally delay the completion of procedures.
Deputies also requested regulations to safeguard the rights of buyers in real estate transactions.
Both Clause 1, Article 14, and Clause 2, Article 24 permit the investor to sell the house even if the apartment does not have a certificate of ownership. This situation can significantly disadvantage buyers if the investor goes bankrupt or fails to fulfill their financial obligations.
If possible, we should explicitly state an article that prohibits procrastination in the transfer of properties and the use of the 2% housing maintenance fund. Many investors are exploiting loopholes in this law to misappropriate funds.
The National Assembly will continue the discussion in the afternoon with the assessment of implementation results of the Socio-Economic Development Plan in 2023 and next year's plan.
Heavy rainfall in the central province of Hà Tĩnh has caused severe flooding in many areas. The flooding resulted in the breaking of a dam in Hoa Hải Ward, Hương Khê district. Tragically, 2 girls in Hà Linh Ward were swept away by the flood. So far, only 1 body has been recovered. As a result of the flooding, over 4,000 students in Hương Khê district were unable to attend school. Additionally, Highway 15A, which passes through the Hà Linh Ward, has been cut off. Furthermore, more than 1,860 households in Hương Khê Ward are currently isolated. To manage the situation, the Hò Hồ hydroelectric plant had to discharge water. Fortunately, 9 workers who were isolated by flood water while working on the North-South expressways were successfully rescued. Since Monday, hundreds of workers from Nghệ Tĩnh Railway Joint Stock Corporation have been enduring heavy rains and floods throughout the night to repair erosion spots caused by landslides on a section of the North-South Railway in Hà Tĩnh province. Supporting stone blocks have been delivered to the landslide spots, but the ongoing heavy rains and rising floods have made the recovery work challenging. Currently, there are still 7 remaining landslide spots, with 3 of them being seriously damaged.
Supporting stone blocks are being delivered to the landslide points along the North-South Railway section that passes through Hà Tĩnh province. More than 120 workers have been working in 2 shifts throughout the night to repair these areas. However, the prolonged rain has softened the soil, leading to continuous landslides and posing significant risks to the workers during the recovery process.
Our main challenges are the adverse weather conditions, such as frequent floods from nearby rivers, and the lack of sufficient light sources. As a result, the recovery work has been difficult.
The SE3 train has been temporarily suspended due to landslides. As a result, passengers are being instructed to switch to other trains in order to continue their journey. However, efforts have been made to ensure that passengers can travel smoothly during this time.
The staff at the gas station have been very helpful to us. They provided us with raincoats and supported us in our travels in a very welcoming manner.
We have deployed all our forces to assist passengers in carrying their goods to and from the bus.
It is expected that it will take an additional 2 to 3 days to completely fix the landslide spots on this railway line.
As of Monday, flooding in Cần Thơ City has exceeded normal high tide levels, reaching alert level 3. Prolonged high tide flooding has disrupted the daily lives of local residents in recent days. However, in areas that were previously severely affected, effective anti-flood projects have alleviated concerns about high tide flooding for local residents.
Cái Khé commune was one of the areas most affected by high tide flooding. However, since the local roads were raised, the lives of local residents have changed. Chung Bing Sơn never imagined that one day floods wouldn't disturb his life anymore.
Upgraded roads are no longer flooded. There are still several roads that have not been raised.
Since 2022, the authorities in Cần Thơ have been upgrading several low-lying areas to mitigate high tide flooding. The streets have been among the most severely affected areas, causing disruptions to the lives of residents.
We have upgraded an additional 6 streets near the Cái Khé Trade Center, including Nguyễn Văn Cử Street. These streets have been completed and are now free from flooding.
In the past, rising water burst the riverbanks, submerging many roads in Cần Thơ City. To reduce the impacts of floods, local authorities have implemented several flood mitigation projects, including the construction of an anti-flood embankment.
Before the construction of the anti-flood embankment, local roads would get submerged during high tide flooding. However, the situation has now improved.
While anti-flood construction projects are still in progress, local residents continue to hope for a better life free from the constant presence of floods.
Ho Chi Minh City's public investment disbursement has been delayed in recent months. Therefore, Ho Chi Minh City plans to take drastic measures to accelerate the disbursement progress in the remaining months of 2023. This was the request of the chairman of the Ho Chi Minh City People's Committee during a meeting to review the city's socio-economic performance in the first 10 months of 2023. The city committed to achieving a disbursement rate of 95%. According to statistics, there are 479 projects with a disbursement rate above 90%, and 230 projects have achieved 100% disbursement. There are still 19 units that have not submitted commitments regarding their progress. The city's leadership has compiled a list and will review proposals, and any units deliberately delaying their commitments will face disciplinary actions. The city's leaders also instructed district and municipal authorities to review any remaining issues and fulfill their tasks assigned for 2023. By the end of October, Vietnam's rice exports had reached nearly $4 billion, marking a 35% increase in value compared to the same period in 2022. This is the highest recorded figure in the history of the rice industry. Moreover, businesses anticipate that this number will continue to rise as they believe there are still more export opportunities for Vietnamese rice.
Rice produced by this factory is being rapidly processed to fulfill year-end orders from South Korea to Europe. While the firm recorded a total export turnover of $22 million last year, it has already surpassed that number by $6 million in just 10 months this year.
Our rice products are being shipped in large quantities at high prices to South Korea and Europe. The demand from Africa is also significant. Therefore, I believe there is no need to worry about the export markets for Vietnamese rice this year.
Vietnamese rice is internationally recognized for its good quality, allowing us to sell it at a high price. In recent competitions, Vietnamese rice has established itself as a leader in the world, positively impacting the domestic rice industry.
Currently, Vietnamese rice is priced higher than Thai and Pakistani rice, which are priced at $79 per ton and $80 per ton, respectively. The quality of Vietnamese rice allows it to maintain a price range of $628 to $650 per ton.
By entering the European market, the value chain of Vietnamese rice has experienced an increase of 10 to 20%, and in some cases, even up to 30%, depending on the variety. While it is a challenging market, ensuring quality can make it easier to navigate.
According to businesses, the current domestic rice supply for export is low and is expected to remain so until the end of the year. However, there is still a high demand for rice, especially from Indonesia, the Philippines, and China. Considering this momentum, it is likely that rice exports will soon reach their peak, with an estimated turnover of 4.2 to 4.5 billion USD this year.
And before we move to the next part of VTV News, let's check out how the Vietnam đồng is weighed against other currencies in the world market today. Coming up next, more than $6 million allocated for free health examinations for the elderly. And 80 people in the Central Highlands managed to preserve their local forest. 5 people were killed and 10 others were injured in a road accident on October the 31st on National Highway 1A in the northern province of Lạng Sơn province. The incident occurred at 2:10 a.m. at kilometer 70 plus 800 on National Highway 1A when a 16-seater bus collided with a broken-down semi-trailer parked on the same side of the road. Currently, the bus also collided with a container truck traveling in the opposite direction. The crash resulted in the immediate death of 4 individuals on the bus, while another person passed away after being transported to a medical facility. Additionally, 9 other injured passengers were taken to the hospital for treatment. Upon receiving news of the collision, emergency response teams promptly arrived at the scene to conduct rescue operations and regulate traffic. The case is currently under investigation. Starting from next year, Ho Chi Minh City will allocate over 150 billion Vietnamese dongs or $6 million annually for free health checkups for the elderly. These free health checkups are available to all elderly individuals residing in the city, regardless of their permanent or temporary residence status. During the recent pilot phase, more than 17,000 elderly people participated in the program. The results revealed that over half of them had hypertension, while other common diseases, including bronchial asthma and diabetes. Hanoi recorded nearly 2,600 cases of dengue fever during the past week, which is a decrease of 200 cases compared to the previous week. Hanoi has become a hotspot for dengue fever. According to the Hanoi Center for Disease Control, or CDC, 1 person has died as a result of the infection. Health officials report that dengue infections have been recorded in 30 districts and towns across Hanoi. Currently, the city has over 230 outbreaks, with some outbreaks being prolonged and having a higher number of patients. Protecting forest has never been easy, but the Ede people in the Central Highlands have managed to preserve their local forest, considering it the most valuable treasure of their lives. Their determined efforts have contributed to the conservation of the forest in the locality for decades.
Water plays a crucial role in the lives of the Ede people. Traditionally, they choose to settle in areas with abundant sources of clean water. Village elder Ilamnir emphasizes the importance of water conservation for all villagers. To achieve this, it is essential to protect the forests. If the forests are destroyed, water sources will be depleted.
In the past, if anyone in our village destroyed a forest or cut down trees, they would face punishments. These punishments included preparing offerings to the god of the forest, such as buffaloes, cows, and several jars of tube wine. The number of offerings would depend on the number of trees that had been cut down.
The Ede people have preserved local forests for centuries, and this tradition has been passed down through generations.
Our grandparents emphasized the importance of respecting and protecting water sources. They taught us not to throw garbage into rivers and encouraged us to plant more trees and flowers in forests.
Wherever the Ede people live and whatever they do, they are always fully aware of their responsibility to protect the forests and water sources.
Water is essential for human life. Protecting forests means protecting communities. Both the customary laws of ethnic communities and the government's regulations on forest protection have played a significant role in conserving water in Vietnam.
The 23rd Vietnam Film Festival, which spotlights the building of a rich, modern and humane national film industry, is scheduled for November the 21st to the 25th in Da Lat City, the Central Highlands province of Lâm Đồng. Co-organized by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism and the Provincial People's Committee, the event honors films and artists in the industry. According to the Ministry's Cinematography Department, to be eligible for the festival, works in forms of feature films, documentaries, science films, and cartoons must be in the Vietnamese language and produced by Vietnamese film production establishments or in collaboration with foreign organizations or individuals without copyright disputes. There is a special pagoda in Vĩnh Long province. The unique feature of this pagoda is the treasure that it has preserved for nearly 200 years. Those are 85 royal ordination documents of the Nguyen dynasty. More to follow.
This is the ordination ceremony at the pagoda worshipping meritorious heroes of Vĩnh Long province. This ritual is only performed once every 3 years. That is why all rituals are performed extremely solemn and respectful. One by one, 85 royal ordination documents are read aloud so that everyone remembers the merits of these heroes to this land.
Here, the ordination ceremony is a ritual that has been preserved for more than 100 years. We show respect for the meritorious heroes. People in Vĩnh Long are very respectful of this ritual. For many generations, people have preserved it.
Built in 1837, this pagoda is a place to worship the heroes who have contributed to land reclamation, as well as the gods in ancient Vietnamese legends. These gods were ordained by the Nguyen dynasty and brought into pagodas for worship.
Here, 85 ordination documents are preserved. Vĩnh Long Museum has also digitized all these ordination documents with the purpose of having a resource to serve the process of studying, researching, and learning about this tradition culture.
The ordination ceremony is quite solemn and remarkable as it represents the beliefs, history, culture, and fine art of past dynasties. For people here, ordination documents are considered the soul of the region, affirming the existence of the land.
People here are very religious. Every year around 4,000 people come here. There are also 8 or 9,000 visitors from everywhere. People believe that if negative things happened, they would bring offerings here to pray for blessings.
Vĩnh Long Pagoda for Meritorious Heroes was recognized by the Ministry of Culture, Sports and Tourism as a national cultural relic. The story of preserving 85 ordination documents shows that the cultural heritage of the land is being perpetuated and honored through generations.
Coming up next in our world news, according to World Bank, escalating conflicts in Middle East could lead to oil price spike. And experts warn a potential intensification of hurricanes. The World Bank reported on Monday that if tensions between Israel and Hamas escalate, oil prices could enter uncharted territory, potentially leading to increased food prices worldwide. Since the conflict broke out in Gaza, oil prices have risen by 6%, according to the World Bank's Commodity Markets Outlook. On Monday, global oil prices slightly declined, falling below $90 per barrel. However, the World Bank's chief economist emphasized the need for policymakers to remain vigilant. Should the conflict intensify, the global economy would face a dual energy shock, a situation not seen in decades. The report examines 3 risk scenarios based on historical data since the 1970s. In a worst-case scenario, oil prices could peak between $140 and $157 per barrel, surpassing the all-time highs observed in 2008. Russian President Vladimir Putin made remarks on Monday regarding the anti-Israeli protests at Russia's Dagestan airport. During a meeting with senior government officials, President Putin called on Russian law enforcement agencies to take firm, timely, and decisive actions to protect Russia's constitutional order, the right and freedoms of Russian citizens, as well as inter-ethnic and inter-religious harmony. He attributed the riots to manipulations carried out by Western intelligence services, including those originating from Ukrainian territory. On Sunday night, over 150 people stormed the main airport in the Republic of Dagestan in response to false news circulating on the internet about the arrival of Jewish migrants in Ingushetia. Over 20 people were injured and around 60 people were arrested. Russia's Federal Air Transport Agency has announced the temporary closure of the airport until November the 6th. The United States has for the first time began buying Japanese seafood to supply its military in a country, a response to China's ban on the products imposed after Tokyo released treated water from its crippled Fukushima nuclear plant into the sea.
According to U.S. Ambassador to Japan Rahm Emanuel on Monday, the first purchases involve 800 to 900 kilograms of scallops. He said the purchases would feed soldiers in messes and aboard vessels, as well as be sold in shops and restaurants on military bases. The U.S. military had not previously purchased local seafood in Japan.
It will be in this area of scallops, but it will then broaden to all types of fish, be sold in all the commissaries across the United States bases, 17 of them. It will be served and stored on our ships for the sailors when they go out. And it will also be available on farmers market. So it starts with scallops, but works through all the fish products.
Soon after the Fukushima wastewater release began on August 24th, China placed a ban on all seafood imports from Japan, saying it had the right and the responsibility to take legitimate, reasonable, and necessary preventative measures to protect the marine environment, food safety, and people's health. The UN's nuclear watchdog vouched for the safety of the water release, and G7 trade ministers called for the immediate repeal of bans on Japanese food.
Mexican experts have issued a warning about the potential intensification of hurricanes as the result of global warming. During an online press conference on Monday, this warning was discussed in relation to Hurricane Otis, which recently affected the Pacific coast of Mexico. According to climate change experts, although the overall number of hurricanes is not expected to increase, there is a forecasted increase in the number of more intense hurricanes. This trend is directly linked to the rising global ocean temperatures caused by global warming. This warming comes at a time when Mexico is working towards recovering from the impacts of Hurricane Otis. This Category 5 storm made landfall in the Mexican Pacific resort city of Acapulco last week, resulting in the loss of at least 48 lives. And before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the weather forecast. And that's it for this edition of VTV News. Thank you very much for watching. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo from App Store or Google Play, or tune in our YouTube channel at youtube.com/VTV4Go. Goodbye for now.